I hear questions like, why is it this keeps happening to me? And so you do need to understand that part of the reason why things keep happening is because you haven't learned the lesson. So most of us, what we do, once we are out of that situation, we never want to think about it. We constantly are avoiding thinking about it because we don't want to experience the pain of the loss. One of the other things that people do who have trust issues is they will find themselves being very suspicious. And again, that is rooted in past experience. One of the thinking patterns that is not helpful is when you say to yourself, because it happened before, it's going to happen again the exact way. I'm going to feel the same way, and I don't want to experience that. So you find yourself being very suspicious and always trying to avoid pain. So what you want to do is to again look at that situation, identify what you lost, identify what you could have done different so that you learn lessons from it. The only reason the past is important to us is it's not so that we can ruminate over it. It's so that we can learn lessons so that today we can make different choices that will create a future that we hope for, a future that we desire for, so that you don't go into this mental inertia where you are not acting on anything, but you are just thinking over what you lost. You want to move away from mourning, go into grief, resolve the grief of the loss, and then begin to advance and adjust because of the lessons that you have learned from that. The other thing that might be a problem is of trust is because you have habits that you have formed over time because of the need to self-preserve or self-protection, and you have developed certain habits which do not go with your values. They are not getting you to the goals that you want to get to. For instance, you desire to have a meaningful relationship with someone, but then when you get into a relationship, at the first sight of any conflict, you are ready to leave the relationship. You are not allowing yourself to really go through the process of figuring out what happened, why was that done, can we talk about your motivations when you did that hurt me. So allowing yourself to kind of face whatever those issues are and face them from an objective point of view, not just venting, but you are looking at, this is what happened, this is how I felt, and this is what I need and desire, and allowing your partner to be able to also speak up. One of the things that happens with people who have trust issues is that they are very defensive. And their defensiveness is going to be seen in one or two ways. Number one, they are aggressive. So immediately there is a feeling of mistrust or suspicion. They just go full-blown anger and some sort of aggressiveness, whether it is verbal or it is physical. What happens is that they take control of that situation, and then later on, when things are explained, they now have the burden of trying to mend the relationship. And we don't do very well with apologizing and mending relationships. Now, the other way that a suspicious and mistrusting person may act is to do what we call stonewalling. And stonewalling is where you avoid to deal with issues because you feel so unsafe, and so you go into hiding. You avoid the situation, you suppress it. Sometimes people pretend that it doesn't bother them, but deep inside there is a turmoil that is going on, and so they feel helpless, and helplessness will lead to mood disorders like depression, where you feel stuck and you feel like you have no way out. Normally, the people who are more aggressive, they will experience what we call anxiety, which is also a mood disorder. And anxiety for that person is the loss of control, the loss of not knowing what is going to happen, because they can't predict what is going to happen. So what do they end up doing? They end up predicting the worst case scenario. But if you ask them the worst case scenario, they don't just even know. So they go into fight mode because they are trying to preserve themselves, but they don't even know what they are preserving themselves from. When we do emotional intelligence and learn how to name our emotions, and then how to self-regulate so that we can be able to communicate in ways that other people are not feeling that you are stepping on their toes. We will be able to do what in another video I've talked about, which is to ask for what you need so that you can be able to be less suspicious, less mistrusting of this relationship. The other thing that is important for you to know is how you label people. So when you have had an old experience and then you come into a new experience with a new person, different time and different situations, but you are triggered to feel suspicious or distrusting, then you go into the whole thing. We say, oh, all men are like that, all women are like that. You don't want to do that, because then you self-sabotage and then you are living in the past. You're giving too much power to what has happened. So what you want to do is to learn your lesson from the experience from the past, so that the experiences in your past can help you to grow and blossom as an individual. You learn how to develop the skills of open and effective communication, and number 2, the skills of conflict management. Start that conversation with yourself and with your spouse about mistrust and trust within your relationship. If you need personalized coaching and therapy, please reach out to me. I will be glad to work with you and to help you. So subscribe if you haven't, and please share widely with your friends.